Design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Trevor Scott, and with me, as always, in his kitchen / lounge / living room, I don't know, is Ben Singer.
Yeah, hello. We are doing this from a slightly unusual place. No, not the back of a Volkswagen. Oh, that's an uncomfortable place.
That's an uncomfortable place.
But my kitchen, because my family is down the beach, and we have the whole house to ourselves, so why the hell not?
Yeah, why the hell not?
So I think we're going to do something slightly different. We are about to head into the Global Game Jam 2025.
Yes.
It's happening this weekend for us recording, a week or so ago. 2 weeks maybe, even by the time you hear this, depending on when we release them, for you listening. But the good thing about that is we can say the theme and nobody's going to know until after it's done.
So the theme for this year is Bubble. Mm-hmm. B-U-B-B-L-E.
That's right. And so I think what we're going to do tonight is just riff on some ideas around the word bubble and bring in just one other word from in a click pitch-esque manner from a random word generator and see what we come up with there. We may use it for this weekend. We may not. It may just be a fun part of the episode.
It really depends on if a certain someone is able to help us out at all this weekend.
That's right, yes. One of our regular collaborators, his wife, my sister, has just gone into the hospital for their third child. And so we don't know what the status of things will be this weekend.
No, we will find it out sometime this weekend.
Yes. But by the time you're listening to this, it's all done and hopefully it's all good.
And we've got a game that we produced over that week. And, okay. Ben, 3, 2, 1, click.
Let's do
My
it.
word is bubble.
Oh, what a coincidence. Firmware.
Ooh, bubble and firmware.
So is this some sort of device? Is there some sort of device that makes bubbles of some kind, or is bubble shaped?
But unfortunately, these bubbles can actually, okay. For some reason, I've just got in my head warp drive bubble.
Okay.
Or warp bubble.
Okay.
So in front, talking about, faster than light travel.
Yep.
And turns out that, it really needed a firmware upgrade because once it's actually there, you can't actually stop it.
Okay. I love the idea of a faster than light ship that uses warp bubbles to get around.
Yeah.
Where there's a bug in the firmware.
Yeah.
That you only find out once you've triggered
the warp bubble.
The warp bubble. And so you're just heading further and further out into the universe.
Yeah.
You've overshot where you were heading completely.
Yeah, because it turns out that you can't collapse it because they mistakenly, had the whole imperial to metric conversion error happen, just like in the 1960s. So they realized, oh shit, we've released a firmware update and it only came in just as you were going out.
So the warp bubble goes like 99.9999% the speed of light. Mm-hmm. Luckily, the internet goes the speed of light. So the firmware upgrade will get to you.
It will finish.
Okay. So is this are you alone? So who's on this ship then? Is it? I'm picturing a small, not a huge,
it's a small crew.
Enterprise sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like almost a shuttle kind of size.
Yeah, maybe 10 people.
Because the premise is great. What are we doing while we're waiting? Is this just dealing with problems that come up from the stresses on the ship?
Yeah, I really do like the idea that they're just trying to work out how do we actually stop the ship? This is an Apollo 13 situation.
Yeah.
So something here's got to be able to stop this so that we can actually get the firmware update, which,
Right, or at least slow it down. Even slowing it down by a fraction will mean that the firmware will get there that much sooner. Okay, so it's sort of solving puzzles around that. You could have like a lot of techno-babbly sort of puzzles if you want. I'm thinking point and click because you and I have been talking a lot about doing that for the Game Jam.
Yeah.
Whether 2D or 3D, we can decide. But I do love the idea of just every window you go past, there's like the streaks of stars going, they get faster and faster, like they're changing colors as you know, you get further and further away or further through. Like no one's been in light speed for this long before.
Yeah. In the Spaceballs parlance, you've gone to plaid.
Yeah.
So it just looks like a kilt.
You're just flying up some old dude's kilt.
Exactly.
And you don't know what you're going to reach at the end.
And most likely a pair of saggy balls.
Yeah. Spaceball.
Exactly.
That's where the name comes from.
Yeah. Oh God. This is actually a prequel to Spaceballs.
Yes.
Yes.
This is how they knew about plaid speed.
Exactly.
First place.
Ludicrous speed.
He's gone plaid. All right, 3, 2, 1, click. I really actually like that that premise though.
Yeah.
All right. Trevor, what's your word?
Bubble.
Oh, no way. Twice in a row. Allergy.
Okay, I mean, boy in a bubble.
Yeah. Okay, funnily enough, my mind didn't go there, despite the fact that we had already talked about that earlier in the week. Okay, so someone in a bubble for their own sort of protection and get like they're immunocompromised in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe to get away from the unfortunate situation that a lot of people do find themselves in. We make it that they're allergic to something funny, basically. They're allergic.
They're allergic to their mum's kisses or hugs.
Yeah, and
actually,
their mum
can't stop hugging.
They don't like the mum, and they just told them. Maybe they're allergic to nitrogen. So they just have to have pure oxygen pumped into the bubble. The only thing they can breathe.
They're allergic to carbon dioxide. So every time they breathe out, they're kind of burning their esophagus.
They just have carbon scrubbers running. Maybe instead of going to the allergy side of things, maybe like loud sounds or like something around sound and this bubble essentially is soundproof and anything to any way to talk to them or whatever has to be, piped in via speakers that are
incredibly quiet
to cut out certain frequencies and be very, very quiet, and they're just there in this silent bubble this whole time.
Yeah, there's something about like a cone of silence sort of thing or a bubble of silence.
Oh, you could do this as a bit of a kind of a metaphorical sort of thing in a sense, like the reveal could be that that's what this is. So you could have it just be this like dark, silent bubble. Someone's talking to you from the outside. There's a crack that keeps opening, and all you hear, whenever that crack opens, you just hear noise.
Static.
Just like loud, overlapping chaos, and you're like, what is out? Like, I can't go out there. But as the player, you don't understand that, like, oh, that's just the real world. And for this person, that's what it's like out there. And it's not until you kind of reveal and zoom out a bit and see from the outside perspective of like,
the kids from Krypton, and their super hearing's kicked in.
Yeah, okay.
Like there's something so innocent
that's
about
an interesting that's an interesting take. And again, to move even further away from just, well, that's sad. Yes, a super being that has landed a la Kal-El.
And they're going through puberty, and it's just like senses are overloading, hence why they're in like a sensory deprivation tank, basically.
Yeah.
Because whenever the light opens, it's bright white light and all this sort of stuff, and they basically see so many extra spectrums of light that,
Yeah. How would you? So I could almost see this being almost very little visuals, almost where it's like, okay, you've got dialogue, You could have
You
it.
think it's a text-based adventure game, but really it's just
Right. Well, because what I was thinking is like maybe they test you out occasionally. Like it's like, okay, we're gonna open the window but the screen just like goes white essentially. You have some sound effects
they
going.
See, electromagnetic radiation. So they see
it's just
Wi-Fi.
Completely
they see,
overloading. Yeah.
They see radio waves because we use those sort of waves, which are in the visible spectrum. Like
for this person, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You could do, it's almost a visual novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more, Renpai-ish.
I think so, yeah. I think so. And just using some interesting visual effects and things to demonstrate, and sound effects particularly, I think.
I'm just even imagining, unfortunately, you probably wouldn't use Renpai because I can imagine like little bits of animation of like the lights sort of, flashing like when you close your eyes, how you get, the weird sort of colors coming through and
after images and things. Yeah.
You could have you could play so much with that. But just the idea that this is actually a superhuman being that, it's actually all good. They're just learning with puberty. All their senses are kicked in. They're now like just getting through and learning how to.
So now I'm picturing
I'm
picturing a very different game. I'm picturing a first-person shooter where your character has this affliction, like they cannot stand light longer than a short period of time. And so you have to strategically open your eyes, but when you close your eyes, you get the after images of where they were and stuff. And so you're often just like, okay, how long can I keep my eyes open before it starts hurting? All right, close them. I've got a sense of the scene. And then you're just shooting blindly to try to
where they were at that time.
Yeah, because you've just got the after image like glowing and kind of fading in and out.
It's kind of very much, a Daredevil game in the fact that he is blind and you kind of just, through them making sound, it's like, okay, now I can hear where they are sort of thing. You just get.
But I think having that strategy of like, oh, okay, I need to get another flash of this, and balancing. If you keep them open for longer, the after images are stronger.
Yeah. But your sanity goes down.
But or something. You lose health or whatever.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
Oh, this is weird. For some reason, I got the word bubble again.
So weird. Blitz. Bubble Blitz.
I mean, that sounds like a mobile game that already exists that you like.
Right. The one where you're like shooting the. Yeah. Okay. It does
Puzzle
sound
bobble, basically.
Definitely. Yeah. Definitely sounds very arcadey or something like that. Like, what would a bubble blitz? What's some sort of mechanics we could have around? Maybe chaining bubbles together or creating bigger and smaller bubbles. Maybe merging bubbles in some way so they get bigger. Popping bubbles.
Yeah.
The blitz could be the pop.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah. I'm also thinking the blitz is that attack on London. What if at that time aliens put a huge bubble over London? And it's basically now
it's an alternate fiction, alternate history. I mean,
we've got a Stephen King Under the Dome situation.
Yeah.
And also the Germans are like freaking out.
Weirdly, they call it a Stephen King Under the Dome situation, even though that book doesn't come out for another like 50 years.
Exactly. They go, this seems like some sort of Stephen King reverse flashback thing. It's a flash forward.
It's a flash forward
to knowing what Stephen King is.
Stephen King is eternal. I do like the idea of people trapped in a bubble. I don't know my history well enough to make it interesting during the Blitz. So maybe there's another type of blitz somewhere. It's a war. It's a war zone. It's not World War II. It's future or alien or whatever, or random war in the past that we don't actually need to know details about.
Okay, so you're at a Wendy's and you got one of those the ice cream.
Yeah, is that called a blitz?
It could be a.
There is something. I don't know if...
I was thinking of Hungry Jack Storm versus the McFlurry, so therefore I'm like, it's a blitz.
Okay, so we make up a restaurant.
Yeah. And so there's this massive alien bubble.
The dome comes down. The dome comes down over a ice cream shop.
And it's just the ice cream shop.
Yeah.
It's like, and then later on in the game, I think what you see is, oh, this is just one of many like beakers that have sort of been put down. And these are
like
massive,
collectors.
fucking huge beings that are just literally like.
Oh, okay. It's like you're like a bug in a jar.
Exactly.
That's cool. I could see doing that as a bit of the Myst-esque point and click adventure then, where it's okay, you and 4 other people or whatever are trapped in this ice cream store.
Mm-hmm.
There's sort of interpersonal things that play out as part of that.
You've just broken up with your boyfriend / girlfriend, and you're about to walk out the door and
It chops them
glass.
in half.
No, the door
I
just
know.
opens in his glass.
Right, okay.
And it's
Yeah, I
like,
that.
oh, fuck.
Clunk.
And so now you're stuck there. Like, you've just broken this person's heart. And now you're having to deal with the after effects of that.
Yeah, yeah. And also the guy who runs the ice cream store is an asshole. So
Yeah.
there's also that. And there's a parent and kid there who, I don't know.
He does this weird hand wave thing that, sort of sits within that weird, sort of almost 45 degree.
You're saying this is like young Elon Musk?
Yes.
That's a weird pull for ice cream store kid, but okay.
He's fucked in the head. Like,
I mean, yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, yes.
he's got weird,
Needless to say.
and he jokes about meme coins all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the 1980s. What the fuck is a meme coin?
What, did we decide this was at the 80s?
I don't know.
I guess if you're saying he's a kid. Yeah. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, click. Fuck. Bubble. Maybe I should actually pick up my phone and not just go with the first word that's in my head.
Radiant.
Ooh, a radiant bubble.
So the sun.
Well, I'm sort of thinking.
Turns out the sun is a bubble and we burst it.
Recently rewatched Wicked.
Okay.
Now, Glinda the Good Witch comes down in a bubble.
Yes.
What if,
Everyone travels in bubbles.
everyone travels in bubbles? This is a bubble society.
The Bubbleverse.
All transportation is basically bubbles.
Okay. Bubble-based transportation.
Yep.
Is that all? Like, we've just figured out essentially how to. I'm just thinking if we've figured out how to move bubbles for
Turns out that you just use your
Transport
mind.
use.
Like,
can we have smaller bubbles then?
that move your dog, yes.
Well, I was just thinking they
Take
can
it for a
move
walk.
anything. You've essentially got bubble-based telekinesis. It's like, bring me that drink. Oh, I'll
bubble
mentally bubble it. I'll just bubble it. Just bubble me a beer, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you need something from the supermarket, you use Booba, which is a
Bubble that
bubble.
goes and gets it for you.
bubble, and then it brings it to you.
Yeah.
But it's controlled by someone else. It's not controlled by you.
No,
because
you don't want to have to concentrate on
You
that.
don't want to have to concentrate on that. That's what they get paid for.
Yeah. Not well.
Not well. No.
Boobla?
Yep.
Like Bublé, like Michael Bublé is actually a bubble.
He's just made of bubbles.
He's just made of bubbles, yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out. He's just 10,000 bubbles in the skin suit.
Exactly. 100%. He sings really fucking well though,
Well, of course.
because he's just popping bubbles continuously.
Yeah, it's actually, he's technically just popping bubbles in where his vocal cords would be. Really deep down, if you look at it, we're all bubbles.
Yeah. Bubbles of atoms.
Yeah.
Turns out that when they in this universe when they looked down at the macroscopic or whatever the fuck it is, it's like, oh fuck, it's bubbles all the way
Bubbles
down.
all the way down. It's not string theory, it's bubble theory.
Exactly.
We just solved
We just solve physics.
physics. Yeah.
We
solved
should-
physics, that's it. We completed physics, clocked it.
We clocked it.
New physics plus.
Now we're back at World 1-1.
Oh, shit.
Oh no! One of the
There's
bubbles
an
have turned into lead balls now. You can't pop them as easily. All our humor is based off of the idea of clocking Mario, Super Mario Brothers. There's only, 32 levels in our game.
Of life.
Of life.
Yeah.
And then you go around again, and it's slightly harder because
we found the warp pipe, so
yeah,
warp whistle or whatever. Whistle?
Pipe in
It is a pipe.
It's pipe in Mario Brothers, the original.
Oh, they bring in the warp
and it's
later.
warp whistles in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah. 3 to 1 click.
Yeah, 3 to 1 click. Bubble.
Popcorn.
Okay. I'm seeing this as a very Kevin Smithy sort of adventure game set at a movie theater.
Yeah.
You've got your soda.
Yep.
Your
Soda
That's
fountain.
where your bubbles are. And then you've got your popcorn.
Yep.
And it's all about just navigating this date.
It's just the conversations that happen, the customers that come in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, I'm even thinking it's a date that you're on, and
you're not working there.
no, I think you've got your popcorn, you've got your drink, and
Right.
this is just navigating.
I was going very, very back to very like original Kevin Smith, and it's like
No, I was going to the
Clerks-esque.
4:30 movie.
Okay.
The new one that we might actually watch tonight.
Yeah, maybe we will. Okay. So, is this? How do we? What are the stakes? What's changed? What's your gameplay here? What are you capable of changing about this date?
I think you're stuck in a time loop.
Okay.
And you have to make it
Time
through.
bubble.
You have to. It's time bubble. You have to make it through to the movie starting,
The movie starting. Okay.
and you've got to still be on the date.
Okay. It's for some reason this is really difficult.
Yeah.
Shit keeps going wrong.
Like you say one thing wrong, and she stabs you in the face with a fork.
Right. Okay.
Oh, it's Hot Tub Time Machine.
Okay. I have not watched that recently. I know you have.
I have been watching it. That's for our other game that we're talking about.
Yeah, there's a reason.
We haven't talked about. But yeah, just the idea of, you say the slightest thing wrong and she goes off at you, or something else happens. Lots of little things that could actually go wrong.
What if this date is the end of your time loop, a la Groundhog Day, and so also a la Groundhog Day, you've actually just met this woman today.
Yes.
And you've got all this information about her that you've gathered over multiple time loops. You don't have to play that bit.
No.
This is just what you've got coming in. You've got like a little notepad or something where every morning you grab that notepad and write what you remember in it, so you've got it all and anything new. And so it's very much that. You could almost have like mini games like, okay, how well do I perform this bit? Because, in Groundhog Day, there's the whole like the snowball scene and stuff where he's trying too hard, trying to recreate a moment. So yeah, you're having to like, I don't know, remember timing of sentences or something, or when exactly to, touch the back of her hand or something where she'll smile at you versus pull it away.
Yeah. And
It's almost a rhythm game.
there's something about, just the hijinks that could happen in like a cinema, like, for some reason a bulldozer comes crashing through and it's like, come on, that has never happened before. And
oh, those bulldozer hijinks in cinemas. No,
Exactly.
I know, yeah, like, okay, you go like completely over the top with things that happen. It's like, oh, I said the wrong thing, bulldozer.
wrecking ball.
Somehow, this is how sensitive time is. You make one little change and an asteroid fucking hits the movie theater.
Yeah.
This almost sounds like a rage game.
This other time that happened is, the 13th time that I went through this, I said something, they tore the ticket and I got pulled into the movie.
Right. This almost feels like a getting over it or sort of thing, or like those Mario levels that people made in Mario Maker, where it's just you have to remember where all the invisible blocks are and where a spike's going to appear in different things. But it's this date, and every time you get something slightly wrong, something ridiculous happens. You have to start over.
Something that is just not at all possible.
Yeah.
Like,
just about memorizing the perfect run, essentially, through the stage.
If I grab her hand at this stage, Jason from the Friday the 13th movies comes in and takes off her head.
Yeah.
Not a great idea.
That's really funny.
Okay. 3 to 1 click. Let's see if we can get a good one. Word is bubble.
Facsimile. Picturing some sort of like cloning device where they grow in a bubble and then it like bursts and all the.
I mean, when they say bubble jet printer, you weren't thinking that.
I forgot about bubble jet printers. Are they even a thing anymore?
But it turns out that like
it's printing a human.
It's the same technology that they use for bubble jet printers, and Canon have got this cloning technology that they use DNA as the bubble, and
it's like a 3D printer, but it's using bubbles of DNA
exactly
that are spat out through a vacuum and then merged into like a vacuum chamber and merged into a human that you can customize in any way. I do like the idea of a adventure-ish game where you're having to deal with clone after clone, trying to like get them right, like you're changing something slightly, using a slightly different ingredient or different settings that you're having to learn over time to get the clone that you are looking for.
Oh, this clone just isn't quite right. What if I put a little bit of frog DNA in right now?
You do that and they just change sex constantly, like every 2 minutes.
They end up going on a date with themselves.
Yeah.
And they have a great time.
Oh yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? Are you disposing of these clones in between, do you think? Or are you gathering clones?
I don't know. I do like the idea of there being like, you just hit a button and they just fall down into a pit.
Yeah.
And then there's just hundreds of them.
Very prestige.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
God, the Prestige was good.
I like this idea though. I feel like you wouldn't have to do too much art because all the characters
are the same.
Almost the exact same thing. They've just got like different hats or facial hair or whatever.
They've got different
They come out with a different hat based on their personality.
Hat.
Absolutely.
And different clothes.
Maybe, coloured clothes perhaps. I'm not drawing a bunch of outfits, man.
you just
palette swap.
You drew one naked man and it's like that's
they all come out naked but with hats.
But with hats. Yeah. It's like Malibu Stacy now with a new hat.
Yeah, they don't have genitals. The Canon, that's because you don't have a licensed Canon. They don't want you breeding them. Well, actually, they just don't want you breeding them at all. So Canon's got the patent, and they make sure that they just come out flat as a Ken doll. I like this idea. It's because it could just be in one room, barely any art. It's all in like the dialogue.
It's all in the conversation with them. It's like, how are you feeling now? And you're kind of almost doing like a
therapy session.
And
what's the goal? What are you trying to make a clone for? Like just a perfect clone of yourself or of someone else, or?
I do like the idea that it's someone else. Like you're trying to include certain memories.
Oh, that could be interesting that they have the memories. There's like memory somehow stored in the DNA, but it's only unlocked if you like get the right bits right, like the right personality traits or something. That's kind of cool. That adds a more melancholy-esque thing to what before was just utter humor, but
there's still a lot of humor in it.
Oh yeah, no, we can't take that too seriously.
So there's got to be some pretty big stakes as to why. What if the stakes are? Like, you're trying to actually clone the president.
Okay.
and he needs to know the nuclear codes.
Right.
And so you're trying to make sure that he remembers all this stuff, because if he remembers the wrong nuclear codes from last week, so you're just trying to find the right ones for
How
now.
do you test it? How do you know you've got it right? Is it just that enough other memories have to line up that you're like, okay, we can trust that they know the nuclear codes? That's kind of neat, especially if you don't reveal that right away. I do like that idea of just. I'm picturing the clone just like coming down a tube, just like collapsing on the floor before they get up for the first time. Slunk. Okay, try this one. Yeah, I think the challenge with that would be what you're actually tweaking each time, or how you do that. I mean, you'd have to make it narrative in a sense. You'd have to just sort of make decisions and maybe branch in different ways until you find out kind of enough information from them, or the way that things change, or about their life and what is correct or isn't correct. Yeah. That's cool though. I like that.
So I think that is what we've, all we've got time for tonight.
Yeah.
I think we haven't found our idea yet for what we do at the Game Jam, but
no, I think the closest we got is the light speed bubble, I reckon.
The light speed bubble
maybe
is pretty
that's
cool.
something we could build upon.
And a time bubble I do like the idea of.
Yeah, that's cool too. So we'll keep chatting, and by the time this comes out, it'll be up and we'll have posted on socials and different things. So
I mean, we may have even just made our original idea, which we're
really keen on. Yes, hopefully we do get to do that. Cool. All right. Well, thank you for joining us this week on Bitstorm. If you'd like to find all of our previous episodes online, go to podchaser.com/Bitstorm. They're all there. Check them out. Review, rate, do all the things, listen. Yeah. Enjoy.
Okay. And if you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance, off of the album Contaminate Failure by the band Kuradust. It's got nothing to do with the bubble. So go find it at kuradust.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, I don't think we have any bubble songs.
No.
So that's right. Thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
Bubbles, 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 bubbles,
Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles, bubbles. 3, 2, 1, stop.